So I have to ask you this instead. So we were just talking about EU Ambassador Sondland changing his testimony yesterday, that he had to be refreshed about quid pro quo, and you've been skeptical more than a lot of the Democrats about the impeachment inquiry. Were you surprised by what he did yesterday?
Well, look, the facts are important, and we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Yeah. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you the question?
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
We're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but...
Tensions rise as Tulsi Gabbard addresses accusations against her, defending her patriotism and intelligence. The discussion then shifts to impeachment and other political issues, adding layers to the debate.
Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. It's why I ran for Congress.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in context of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So
really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment.
Tulsi Gabbard defends herself against Hillary Clinton's accusations, emphasizing her military service and commitment to national security while expressing outrage over the claims.
Of service.
So are you surprised, though, that when people see bots and things and all the things that we've sort of been seeing heading your way, that people have these questions? Because she's not the only one. Hillary, I don't think, is the only one. So what she's saying is she feels they are grooming you. You're saying nobody's grooming me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm a soldier and a patriot.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in such a way.
But you called her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. I'm speaking out against that, and
What's your evidence to that?
To change.
Well, can I?
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war in Iraq.
Not you, her. You're saying that she's
exactly.
She's a
I
warmonger.
served
How
in
do you
the
come
war
up with
in
that?
Iraq
Yeah.
that she championed. She championed a regime change war
Did you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
Look, it is indisputable. It is indisputable to say anything other than the fact
Can I say
let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that. I'm running for president to change that. Rather than actually debate me on the issues, she and others are resorting to these smear tactic campaigns, seeking to undermine me, smear my character, and sending a message to anyone who dissents: toe the line, or you too will be smeared.
Tulsi fiercely stands her ground, rejecting Hillary's accusations and calling out the interventionist foreign policy.
One thing you have not been afraid to do, and look, this is what the show's for, so thank you for coming on. This is what these conversations are for. But one thing that you've not been afraid to do is go up against your own party.
Yeah.
You even threatened to boycott the last debate. You say that the process has been rigged. Do you think it's been rigged against you? And would you ever run as an independent? Because you heard Hillary Clinton say that. There are other people that think that that's something that you will ultimately do.
No, very clearly, and I've said no every time for months that I've been asked that question.
If the party's rigged against you?
Because I'm running to build a new Democratic Party, to take our party out of the hands of the corporate special interests, the greed and the warmongers, and actually make it so that our Democratic Party is a party that is of, by, and for the people, fighting for peace. Our party used to be the peace party. What happened to that? Actually be the party for the people, protecting our planet and fighting for peace.
Yeah, well, I think my biggest problem among many with Hillary's comments were if that were something people in Congress actually believed, there should be an investigation.
Exactly.
And they're not doing that, and I think you can't just throw things like that, which is trafficking in McCarthyism all the way. The term Russian asset goes back to the McCarthy era, and we can't be doing that to people who are veterans across the board.
Or to anyone.
Yes, to anyone, but specifically the only female combat veteran running for office. You evoke really strong reactions from people. I know what that's like, from the left and the right. And you seem to be a threat to both sides. Why do you think you trigger so many people in so many different ways? Because I don't completely understand it, but I myself am a trigger, so maybe that's why I don't get it.
Because I'm speaking truth to power. And those in power know they can't control me. So they view me and the truth that I'm speaking as a threat to that power base. Whether you're talking about the military-industrial complex or the political elite who are in power in both political parties in Washington, those who would rather do all they can to maintain their own selfish special interests, to include self-serving politicians, rather than actually being a champion for, being a voice for, and speaking up for the people in this country who are struggling and who are facing many great challenges and who I'm seeking to serve.
All right.
Some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that.
Joy, this is why.
I mean, you're on
here.
Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am.
How calmly did she degrade the whole team? It's like Beauty with a brain.
16 times with Tucker Carlson. I never see you with Chris Wallace or that other guy, what's his name, Brett Baer. Well, why aren't you on with them? They're definitely middle of the road. Why do you go on with Tucker, who's a liar and a propagandist?
So let me start with how offensive it is to say that I am a witting or unwitting asset of a foreign country, working against the interests of our people and our country, the country that I am willing to lay my life down for. So if you're saying it's not deliberately, then you are implying
it could be
that I am too stupid and too naive and lack the intelligence to know what I am doing. You raised the second issue about why I go on Fox News.
Yeah.
I go on Tucker Carlson, go on Brett Baer, go on Sean Hannity, go on MSNBC, go on CNN. I am here to speak to every single American in this country.
Another roast, another shut-up call.
What is the right you see in the Democratic Party?
That our Democratic Party, unfortunately, is not the party that is of, by, and for the people. It is a party that has been and continues to be influenced by the foreign policy establishment in Washington, represented by Hillary Clinton and others' foreign policy, by the military-industrial complex and other greedy corporate interests. I'm running for president to be the Democratic nominee that rebuilds our Democratic Party, takes it out of their hands, and truly puts it in the hands of the people of this country, a party that actually hears the voices of Americans who are struggling all across this country, and puts it in the hands of veterans and fellow Americans who are calling for an end to this ongoing Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy doctrine of regime change wars, overthrowing dictators in other countries, needlessly sending my brothers and sisters in uniform into harm's way to fight in wars that actually undermine our national security and have cost us thousands of American lives. These are wars that have cost us as American taxpayers trillions of dollars since 9/11 alone, dollars that have come out of our pockets, out of our hospitals, out of our schools, out of our infrastructure needs. As president, I will end this foreign policy, end these regime change wars, work to end this new Cold War and arms race, and instead invest our hard-earned taxpayer dollars actually into serving the needs of the American people right here at home.
Senator.
Politicians know how to mold answers in their favor. This is how this girl gets down.
Criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbar back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an.
And this is not the only time she silences someone. She even did that with Kamala, a big name in politics.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Wow, what a memory she's got.
I think that it's unfortunate that we have someone on this stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama.
That's
who
ridiculous,
has spent full-time,
That's
who
ridiculous.
has spent full-time criticizing people on this stage as affiliated with the Democratic Party. When Donald Trump was elected, not even sworn in, buddied up to Steve Bannon to get a meeting with Donald Trump in the Trump Tower, fails to call a war criminal by what he is as a war criminal, and then spends full time during the course of this campaign, again, criticizing the Democratic Party. What we need on the stage in November is someone who has the ability to win. And by that, we need someone on that stage who has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and someone who has the ability to rebuild the Obama coalition and bring the party and the nation together. I believe I am that candidate.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'll give you a chance to respond.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies and smears and innuendos because she cannot challenge the substance of the argument that I'm making, the leadership and the change that I'm seeking to bring in our foreign policy, which only makes me guess that she will, as president, continue the status quo, continue the Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy of regime change wars, which is deeply destructive. This is personal to me because I served in Iraq. I left my seat in the state legislature in Hawaii, volunteered to deploy to Iraq, where I served in a medical unit where every single day I saw the terribly high human cost of war. I take very seriously the responsibility that the president has to serve as commander-in-chief, to lead our armed forces, and to make sure always, no, I'm not going to put party interests first. I will put the interests of the American people above all else.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I want to briefly.
It seems like they're fact-checking Trump at every opportunity, and they're letting Kamala Harris just run wild.
Which wasn't a surprise to President Trump at all. He knew very well going into this debate and agreed to it anyway, knowing that it was going to be a 3-against-1 debate the entire time. This just shows, again, Donald Trump isn't afraid to debate Kamala Harris or anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I think it speaks volumes that right after an hour-and-a-half long debate, it's close to midnight, Donald Trump came straight here to this room and spoke to hundreds of reporters, answered their questions, walked around to different parts of the room. And where's Kamala Harris? Still, here we are. She hasn't done a single solo interview with any reporter. She's the one who's afraid. She's good at reciting rehearsed lines. But when it comes to actually telling the truth to the American people, she is failing on all fronts. And the biggest thing is this is a slap in the face to voters because she's too afraid to speak to reporters. She's too afraid to answer questions. And they're the ones who lose as a result.
She's not afraid of what she wants to say.
More recently, U.S. Senator Mitt Romney accused me of treason, a crime that is punishable by death under our laws. I challenged him to back this serious allegation up with evidence. What was this based on? There was no response, no explanation, no evidence, and certainly no apology. Now, these accusations are often shrugged off as, well, hey, it's politics. People say things about each other all the time. That may be easy for some of you to say, but for somebody who wears the uniform, this is serious. And it's serious not only to me, but to my fellow service members and veterans, every one of us making a decision at some point in our lives to raise our right hand, prepared and volunteering to lay our life down for this country.
What do you think of Kamala? You bodied her only a couple of years ago. What do you think of her?
The same thing that I thought of her back then is she, and this was what I warned people against in 2019, is she is incapable and unfit to be president and commander-in-chief. She would be very dangerous in that position, not only because she will be easily manipulated and controlled by those unelected powers that be that we talked about, but also would immediately feel like she needs to exert and show strength, and that would come at an incredibly high cost to our men and women, my brothers and sisters in uniform, to our country, and quite frankly, to the world, especially given the situation that we're facing today, where, you know, we're on the brink of war with Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, just to name a few. Oh, and also, by the way, we are closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, certainly in our lifetimes. And so in any one of these examples, it takes one spark for any one of these situations to quite literally blow up. She has demonstrated through her time as vice president, through her time as U.S. Senator, through her time as the Attorney General of California, District Attorney of San Francisco, in every opportunity, every position that she held where she had the opportunity to put the interests of the people she was supposed to be serving first. She put her own political interests first, and clearly does not believe in the Constitution and fundamental freedoms. So she's not alone in this, obviously, but she is now, not officially, but will be very soon, the Democratic nominee for president. And we as voters should not allow the political food fight that's going to go on to get in the way of actually knowing the facts of her record and her failed record and how dangerous she would be in that position.
Is she smart?
I would not say so.
She is honest in her opinion and says whatever she wants.
Another shocking story as well. I hope that's all resolved.
Unfortunately, Sean, I wish I could say the same, but it has not been resolved. I've been informed that the targeting package that the TSA created for me when they put me on the secret domestic terror watch list is still operational.
That is insane, and we'll stay on that case as well. All right, that was a verbal beatdown, and you came in, you were armed with facts, also reports that you are part of Donald Trump's debate prep team. What do you tell him, without giving away, private conversations you may have about debating Kamala Harris? Because she did go in with, memorized lines to go after Joe Biden, and they were effective to some level.
Yeah, they were. First of all, as you know, President Trump is not a politician at all. He doesn't do traditional political debate prep. He is prepared to debate Kamala Harris anytime, anywhere. I think the only place where I may possibly be of help is really conveying that experience that I had with her on the debate stage that you just played, sharing the kinds of games she will play in order to try to hide her real record from the American people. It is clear that now that she is the candidate running for president on the Democratic ticket, she is saying one thing while her record and her actions over the last 3.5 years prove the exact opposite to be true. She is lying through her teeth every single day, which is incredibly insulting to the American people and voters because she thinks that we are so stupid that we are going to just forget what she has done over the last 3.5 years and all of a sudden buy this new lie that she is selling us. And, there are too many examples to cite, but you brought up my being on the secret domestic terror watch list. She says over and over again she's going to be the champion and defender of freedom. And yet she and the Harris-Biden administration continue their mission of political retaliation to censor free speech, to go after people like me for criticizing them and their actions and policies. And of course, their foremost target continues to be Donald J. Trump, as we've seen with these new indictments that they've just rolled out. What she says, and this is what I'm encouraging people to pay attention to in this debate and in this campaign, don't listen to what she says, because whenever she opens her mouth, she is selling a lie. Focus on her.
Taking no prisoners, Tulsi firmly calls out Kamala Harris, accusing her
as well. Hey, it's politics. People say things about who we are. She hasn't done a single solo. Where's the uniform?
She will be easily manipulated and controlled. She, by times, political
Biden, and they were effective.
Place where I may possibly be of help is Rhetoric ticket. She is saying one thing, hide her real record from the American people. It is clear that now that she is the candidate running for president on the Democratic ticket, she is saying one thing while her record and her actions over the last 3.5 years prove the exact opposite to be true. She is lying through her teeth every single day, which is incredibly insulting to the American people and voters because she thinks that we are so stupid that we are going to just forget what she has done over the last 3.5 years and all of a sudden buy this new lie that she is selling us. And, there are too many examples to cite, but you brought up my being on the secret domestic terror watch list. She says over and over again she's going to be the champion and defender of freedom. And yet she and the Harris-Biden administration continue their mission of political retaliation to censor free speech, to go after people like me for criticizing them and their actions and policies. And of course, their foremost target continues to be Donald J. Trump, as we've seen with these new indictments that they've just rolled out. What she says, and this is what I'm encouraging people to pay attention to in this debate and in this campaign, don't listen to what she says, because whenever she opens her mouth, she is selling a lie. Focus on her.
Taking no prisoners, Tulsi firmly calls out Kamala Harris, accusing her of dishonesty. She highlights Harris's past actions, claiming her words don't match her record. She urges voters to focus on actions, not rhetoric.